Hello everyone, this is AVT Pro, Alonzo Von Threet, Advanced Visualization Technology Productions. I wanted to do a quick tutorial on this character for animation curves and how to avoid snapping, popping animation curves. And I'm doing it just as a general tutorial and a quick tutorial, and I'm doing it on a project that I haven't opened in a long time. And so this is helping me to get back into some of my EI stuff. I loaded my plugins, but I don't know if they're working right. Well, that seems to be working right, but for some reason the encage here didn't work right. I don't know if it actually worked right. Let me see if this will. Yeah. So I have an encage plugin on this, and so I guess it is working. It's just probably not on or something, yeah. And so, right, and so then it encages. So I haven't looked at this project for a long time, and what I want to do is show animation curves. Now, in this project, so it's something that Dave and I worked on for Verizon in China. And so I want to delete some of these things that I won't be using, like some of the shader effects and things like that, stuff that David has really been a master at for years. And speaking of that, there's a lot of people who are professionals and probably have a lot more experience and get into companies and stuff that I haven't been able to get into, and so they have a lot of experience, but they might be new to 3D animation. And I want to say this, and I want to say it with all staunchness, that it was once put to me, and I believe it was by Richard Lanehart, which a lot of you old timers with Electric Image may know. I just friended him again on my Facebook, so I'm really happy about that, because he was very instrumental in helping me learn 3D graphics and all kinds of ways. He even let me use his computer sometimes, just all kind of things. He's the one who originally endowed me as the leader of the Electric Image user group in New York City when it was at the City Court building. So anyway, so one of the things that he told me, and he said it like this: After Effects have something called ease in and ease out. It's a simple button on the animation curves that makes it so that when you do an animation, it just basically I don't know what's going on here. It will basically it'll make like a smooth transition from one to another, and I could actually do it on a simpler project. So I was going to do it on this to kind of show you. This is a project that I never animated, so I wanted to animate this to kind of show you, but maybe I still will do this. Let's say, okay, just a simple thing. Let's say I animate this from here to there. Okay, and so what I'm gonna do is it's the beginning of this, but it'll help you with this. Now here's the left hand and the left hand controller, and so I animate on the controllers, and then it'll have the other forms underneath it. The other parts of the body will move based on this controller, so it's all linked into this controller. So this is some of the things that I just described. This is the deformer rig, the deformer rig, which I know you guys are familiar with that. And so so this has the deformer, and this is what I used on a Lego Man. So you guys, I didn't have a chance to animate this, but I did use the same rig on a deformer rig DVD, which I don't know what's going on with that. I don't. Yeah, I'm sure there's. I just haven't opened this up in a long time, and as I recall, there's supposed to be a headset on this. Okay, but anyway, let me just move forward. I want to show you a very simple animation curve from going up to down with this finger or even here to here, up, and let's say here to here or something like that. And so basically you just set key poses. And so I have some key poses on this already. But here's the thing is, most animation curves are going to have, when you open it up, unless you say, put this in the preferences, the curves are going to start under keyframes. Where is it? Let's have a look here. It's going to give you like how you want to handle your curves. So it's going to be explicit or implicit. And so that is going to be a preference that is set up when you first start to animate or open the info box on any type of object that you create. And so I might do this again in another program with a simpler file. But so normally you want to switch it to explicit. And lots of times you can use implicit if it's really that simple, but implicit puts automatic animation curves on it based on another setting, which is like whether the curve is this natural smoothing, Hermite, or whatever. If you use one of these, it'll naturally ease in and out. And so what you want to do is avoid the abrupting kind of snap into place. Now, like I said, Richard Lanehart, and it's very generic, so nobody take this personal. He said that, whenever you see anything just snap on television, come to an abrupt stop, it's really that it's really like amateurs, novice, noob, whatever you want to say it, and a lot of people are professionals, so, but, might be new to animation. So you don't want to have that said about your work when you're already an expert in the field, per se, you know what I mean? So this is a way and a way to avoid it. Now, I do have some animation curves on this. This preview. I'm supposed to hit this button and it's supposed to preview, and it should redraw the screen, but it's not doing it. So I don't know what's going on there. So I might have to start another curve. I just downloaded my official version 8, and so I was using a beta because I beta test. So, but this is the official version, and I don't know. Maybe it's not here. It might be. I might have some other setting in here. I think this is just reversed. So let me just try this and see if. Oh, you know what? It's probably just at the 0 point. I don't know. It works. I put in 3 poses here, and for some reason they're not animating, and I don't know what it is. So I might start a new project. But I'm doing this because I don't actually have. So here's a couple of poses that I created just for it to show off some product. And so I might have put these fingers in here like this. But it's just 3 main keyframes. And so it should, when I preview it, it should be a preview from keyframe to keyframe. And let's see, render. It's probably this back here. Timing, current frame only. And you have to have all keys. So if under the render setting, render here, you gotta forgive me, I get rusty at this. So go here, and bam, bam, and bam. Go girl. I have a pretty fast machine, so it should be able to preview in I'll click here. Oops. Should be able to preview in a shaded mode. So it's wire shaded there, and it's good to use flat shaded or something like that. I'll click save. So it just goes into each key, but based on the interpolation, you can have it snap into each different pose. So here, if you actually see, if you go here, you can see it's implicit there. But under here, let's say the hand controller, you will be able to see what type of curve I have. I believe it's here. So this is a motion curve. No. Somewhere I have, okay, so this is switched to explicit already. So on each one of my curves of the animation, so this is the left foot controller. Now this I must have just not moved. So sometimes I have different ones on different ones. So the main ones, like it's probably here. No, and even on this one is implicit. But this one is explicit. So how to switch the curve from implicit to explicit. Let me show you. So here on the right hand is, you go here and it's implicit. Now how do you smooth that curve? Sorry, this will take the curve off completely. But how do you smooth that curve is actually in the F curve editor. And I sort of don't remember how to get to it directly without using the keyboard. I know it's like Control Y, but there under animation, it should be something called. All right, now here's another way to switch it. So you can switch your curves here. So you can make. So they moved a lot of this stuff, and sometimes I don't remember because they add menu sets and I forget. Even though I beta test it. So you can switch the implicit to explicit here. And implicit has a bit of it has what is known as a velocity curve. And so I should show you that. But here is the F curve editor. And so the control is Control Y. And so I usually use that. And a lot of the stuff, because it was only poses, I didn't really have to load the different controllers or components into the animation curve editor, and that's what it is. It's a curve editor. So I won't get heavy into that because at some point I do want to do an animation DVD for Electric Image, but and it'll be just very basic. But so what you do, there's a way to get the curves into this editor, and what you have to do is generally what you do is click this on. You click this little arrow right in front of it, and then you can double click on it, and in order to put it in this editor, now let me see if it's velocity. So it's implicit, it's explicit now, but it wants to go into this curve, and if you click that arrow in front of it, and so you can have control over like the position, the rotation, and the scale. Those are the animatable attributes. You would double click on it and it can go in there. There's probably a quick way to get them all in, but I can't think of it right now. But you go, and so what it wants to tell you, the selected key channel is a velocity control. So velocity is just based on the motion, the time of the motion. It's kind of like an automatic curve, but it's kind of hard to control. So you generally want to go into this F curve editor, and so you say, do you want to remove these controls? You could probably do it and say no, I'll try one, but for right now let's just say yes. And so this is how that velocity curve is now based on these three keys. Or it's actually now an F curve. It's not a velocity curve because it's been moved. And so this is just the X portion. And what you'll find is if I double clicked on it here, is the motion type is an F curve. You can actually make it linear, and a lot of people like to use linear. And so in linear, you usually get this pop, snap, direct, one to another kind of curve animation. So I'm just doing this now as for my YouTube site. When I do a regular animation DVD, it'll actually show the different levels on how to move from this. But here is a natural curve, and you can see that it's just based on a different algorithm that gives you a more smoothing here, but not here or here. So it'll smooth out when it moves, and it'll come to abrupt stop here. And then you have the Hermite. And so a lot of things, this is very natural looking, and sometimes you can just use it. Some of these are really good effects, but this F curve gives you the most control. But as you can see here, it has this little bit of an offshoot. I don't know if you can really see it good. So with the controllers now, I sort of forgot. I thought you could, like if I hold down the Option key, I can just marquee around it. And so hopefully this line thickness is big enough for you to see. But here it's almost, you have to use a magnifying glass, and you can switch it both ways. But here it's almost hard to see. But you can see right here, this is where it starts. Now this is the actual control of the object on the X curve. And so you can, if you go to these little controllers right here, and I want to show you this, you can see the little breaking points for each one. And so this actually comes straight out of here, and it breaks and then goes into here, and there's controls to help it break. Now it's stuck on the grid because I'm zoomed in so much, but when you smooth it out a little bit, you know, it'll actually smooth into this and curve into this a lot better. And if I go here, and I had this really zoomed, I would never work like that, but you can see this one is already very tangent, and so it has this tangency. And so there's also these other curves that shows velocity and things like that behind it that will also help you to align it. And you can literally, this is like, you see the way this curve lined up to there? This is the most natural this curve will flow into this one. So pretty much, you know, by manual editing. So I often use those a lot of times. You can see it flip a little. I hope you can see it, but you can see it. And so that breakingness of that curve, this will give you the most smoothness. Now, I forgot what the name of this, but these are extra curves that help you see this, see the other information behind it. And so this is the acceleration, and this is the velocity. So the red one is the velocity. So the smoother it is into this, the less it'll change into that. And the blue one over here was the, if you click back, and I have to read the display, this is the acceleration. So this is how fast it kicks in. And so it's kind of helps when you, so I adjusted the velocity of 1, and then, you know, depending on the acceleration from what comes from near to how much it accelerates in near, you can control these, and these are actual guides for this. If I turn off the grid in the back, you can see them a little bit better. So this animation curve is just as fun as any other animation curve that you would see in any other program for the most part. The other ones have like Softimage and stuff like that. They have more information and more control to a certain degree. But you know, and there's other keys and tricks and stuff like that, which I haven't used in a while. But I just want to show you this basic one to kind of help you just understand like what is really going on there and how to use this curve. And so about 5-6 years ago, this was just as good as Softimage or anything like that. But you know, and this was mimicked, and it was done, you know, with that. That was a great big thing about that. But with this, because of this, you can do any kind of level of animation you want to do in electric image. Certain things are easier, but there's nothing wrong with this animation control system. So if I go here, and you can see it's off a little bit. If I smooth that curve so it goes from this abrupt into there, and you can see, like, you know, it'll give you readout, the timing, the value. So the value, the timing and the value, and forgive me if I didn't say that. This is the value up this way. This is the timing this way. So this spreads it out in time. This spreads it out how much. And so you could actually, if you go to this, you will see these things change. This information change here or affect there. And so there's lots of things to deal with it. You can go to different curves and you can just, decide which one. You can make it custom. So it'll actually, this right here will literally, automatic slope. And so when you adjust it, it'll affect the behavior of this, and it'll smooth one into another. Now it doesn't break here, but you can break it like here. If you go here, and that's actually at the 2-second mark. So that's this one here. So you could go continuous to automatic slope, and you will see it change there. So there's a lot of control and a lot of different things. So that was here. And so if I go here, it's not continuous turn because oops, can't see that, it's off screen, on double screen. So if you go here, you can see these change here. So if you go to this one here, you can see this. Now there's no slope on the other side because it's one thing. But that makes it absolutely smooth, and you can see that it's absolutely smooth because of how this breaks here. So that acceleration here is totally smooth here, and then here you can edit it as well. It's the same process. So I'm just kind of roughly going over there. That's the time of that one is 2 seconds. So I'm just kind of going over there roughly and giving you an idea of how that works. So this is the braking curves, and you can see how it breaks there. And then if I go back here, it's behind here, but if I go back here and then continuous loop, that's automatic. It'll adjust this as best as it can for this. So I just wanted to give you a slight overview. And so when you have a simple thing, even if it's going from here, see if I go here, on the left hand, there's no control here. So I'll move the key here. Now this is I have all these animation curves here. So if I option click and click this all out, it'll get rid of all the animation curves on all the objects. And so now this is all cleaned out. And then I can just option click and put them all back. And so all the animations or curves are gone. You get a warning. And then if I go to here and let's say this controller here, let me bring this over so you can see them both. If I go here and at this one mark, like so, that's where it is now. I'll go to 1 second and I'll move it like I don't know. I'm trying not to make this complicated. So then I get a key here, and then I'll get a key here. I probably have this on the one. I think you want to be careful of when you have snap to keys, like I have snap to keyframe, and then I'll take that off and I'll say none, and then it'll move very easily on any increment. So I can go and put 3 seconds there, and then here I'll move it again, and then I'll get a keyframe. And so from between these two keyframes, if I go here and load all these up in the double click on all of them and then go Command Y, then I have this. So this one was the one I was working on, right hand. I'm gonna just delete that one. So here's the left hand, and here are the curves. If I option click into here, the magnifying glass, I can see the curves. Now these are smooth curves, so these are fine. But if it, and I can adjust it, so it's going to go a smooth transition one into another. And this is where based on that curve, I know that this is the smoothest. And so this is the acceleration. So at some point, if you have this one matched up and then this one matched up, then it becomes a velocity curve. There's no big difference. There's no real difference between one another. So this lines up into there. So it will be the same as a velocity curve, which is automatic, which is not really what you want sometimes. So, so basically that's that. So if this was linear, some people use it in linear, and then they'll switch to this, and as you can see, it's sharp there. And then they'll just break it out a little bit there, depending on what you want and the motion that you want. Now, this isn't bad if it's there. It just depends on what you want. That's a pretty smooth curve, but you can get infinitesimally smooth if you completely go like from there to there. So you know that it comes out of there really smooth and into the next one very smoothly. So that's that. I don't think I even have to demonstrate it too much. Let's see. The rest of the body will move. So it has a nice smooth transition from one to another. Okay. Very, very nice. So I'm going to do an animation, a DVD, but I wanted to kind of get back to this kind of stuff. So I really want to thank people for bringing up problems and questions and asking me stuff. Sometimes it helps me, and in teaching you learn, so to speak. All right, God bless you all, love you all, and just keep at it, and like I say, don't take it personal. I just say those things just because that's how it is. It is what it is. Anyway, God bless you, love you.